Nick, can I start by asking you, is there any further update? We had the withdrawals we heard about yesterday.
No, nothing at all. Nothing to add to what's been already said.
I think the players, though, that had to withdraw, they probably wouldn't have started anyway. Is that fair?
No, Harry Arter had been playing regularly. I went to watch him. He played as a sitter against Nottingham Forest and was excellent. And I just asked a question in there about midfield players. Prior to the last couple of weeks, Glenn Whelan hadn't got a club. Jeff Hendricks hadn't been playing. Con had started the season, had missed a couple of games. James McCarthy was in and out, so the midfield player situation was kind of open, really. So Harry Arter got a good chance. Josh is still here. He was, that was a disappointing one, having been played regular. But subsequently, Glenn's got a club. Jeff's played 2 games. Connor's played in the week, scored a couple of goals, got on the Saturday. The midfield suddenly has had more games, thankfully.
And does that imply that it's less open now?
Just implies that the lads who've been playing have played some games, and if I want to select them, I'm quite happy to do so.
And is it this sort of game and this sort of opposition that you wanted Glenn Whelan to be available for?
That's sort of suggesting I'm going to play him, that, isn't it, Tony? It's a good question. It's the sort of game that I actually wanted the experienced players to be fit. And if James McCarthy, who I'd been to watch twice now, 23s and against Colchester, experienced players, not debutants playing in it. So I'm glad that Connor's got back in playing. I'm glad that Jeff is. I'm certainly delighted that Glenn has had his 2 games now at Hearts.
In case you needed to be reminded, it says in the media guide, in your first term in charge, your last match was Switzerland.
Yeah.
And your only defeat at the Aviva. And I know you've spoken about it before, that it's something that bugs you, but how do you get that across to the players?
Well, does it bug me? I don't know. I've probably had about another 300 games since then, and won, drawn and lost plenty, Yeah, it would have been nice to leave on a win, because I was going anyway with that Switzerland game. It doesn't bother me. 17 years ago. There'll be no players in that team that played then, and I think the managers have changed a few times since. So, honestly, Tony, it doesn't really rankle with me. It's a different game.
Point is, though, that you had a good record at the Aviva, at Lansdowne Road as it was, and you want to maintain that, I'm sure.
Well, I still do, don't I? The fact that I lost the 1 game, I mean, in competitive games, I think I still have a good record, to be quite honest. I hope we can improve on that on Thursday evening.
When you heard that Shaqiri wasn't going to be available for them, what was your first thoughts?
It's a bit like when the draw was made, when we didn't get Holland and Germany, and we suddenly got Switzerland and Denmark. That, your first reaction is, oh, great, and then you realise that there's still 2 good teams we've got to play, and you realise that Switzerland have still got some excellent players. But if you're going to analyse a game and try and counteract Shaqiri, I think he's pretty difficult to do that, because he can drift out of the games, and then he's got that wanderlust, that wonderful. He wanders about the pitch, and suddenly all he does, he explodes, and he does something magnificent. Well, you can't. It's hard to predict that, and it's hard to counteract that. So maybe it'll be easier to. Not suggesting for 1 minute the player that plays is any less than him, but I don't think he'll be the same that does that off-the-cuff stuff that you're just not expecting.
And finally, for me, do you think, depending on the week, hopefully going okay, no injuries and that you've set in your mind who you want to start on Thursday?
Providing everybody's okay. Yeah, I'm fine.
Mick, just on that, Shane Long didn't get the call up. Is the door still open for him, or do you feel it might be the end of his international career?
No, the chance to play for Ireland, and he's made many appearances, and he's, what is he, 6th or 7th in line of highest goal scorers, is still very much there for him, as it is for Robbie Brady, who, you know, has a rib injury and he can't play. I would have thought, if anybody analyses the players that are in the squad, that the strikers that I picked were all been playing. And I'd actually, you know, David McGoldrick started in the Premier League, Robbo did, he scored in the Premier League, James Collins came up with, well actually it was Sean Maguire, but he was playing regularly and scoring. Scott Hogan started scoring. Shane just wasn't playing in any games. So my logic is, and the way I want players to play, is they need to be playing.
Working on that then, how concerned are you that Shane Duffy didn't start for Brighton, and they're playing a new system now with 3 centre-halves and he was on the bench at the weekend?
It's the first game he's missed, isn't it? I think it's brilliant because he's fit and raring to go for me. Do you honestly believe that because they're playing 3 centre-backs, I tell you what, I'm worried going forward that he might not get back in the team if they're playing really well, and that'll be a travesty for him because he's been brilliant for Brighton. But they're playing a different system, and if the manager thinks that the other 3 are better than him at it, then so be it. But in regards to this game, it means he's here, he's fit, he's not carrying anything, and he should be great on Thursday night.
And do you rate Switzerland as the top team in this group? And if so, why?
I rate Switzerland and Denmark as the top 2 teams in this group, and their UEFA, FIFA rankings, whatever they are, would ratify that, certainly. And just watching them play, they've been one of the top teams in Europe for a long time, not winning things, but always at the competitions, always doing well in them. The manager's been there a while. They've got a good system the way they play, and they've got good players within that system playing for good clubs. So yeah, those 2 are the top 2 teams. We've had a start that we had to get the points that we got. Denmark was a bonus, but we had to get 9 points from the other 3 games, 2 Gibraltar games and Georgia here. We've got harder games to come. I'm under no illusions, and that starts on Thursday.
Hi, Mick.
Hiya.
Would you take a point right now?
From where? Georgia?
Switzerland on Thursday.
I thought you'd ask a silly question. I'll just give you one back. I probably would, yeah. Not that we're going to try and get that. But bearing in mind the points that we've got already, and if we remained unbeaten to the end of the time, they're a good side. Not setting up to get a draw. We're going to try and win the game. But if it turns out we end up with a point, I'll be happy at not being beaten, yeah.
What have you made of Switzerland so far in the group, and what challenge will they present on Thursday?
Well, they were 3-0 up against Denmark, and we just watched that again. How the score ended up 3-3 is beyond me, so could you say that they ended up being... Did they get a bit milky at the end? Did they get a bit carried away? Did they get overconfident? But Denmark had a very good side as well. And they were unfortunate. They went 1-0 down to a handball. Shouldn't have been a goal. But they play a good system. The 3 at the back, the 2 wing backs, although Zuba's missing. And Baber is very, very good. The strikers, although I know they're missing Shaqiri, they've a good way of playing. They've been a settled way of playing. They're very well organised, disciplined, and they work very, very hard. They've been together for a long time.
Are they beatable?
Of course, yeah. Tell me a team that's not.
Will that be the message to the players this week, then, that this is a winnable game?
Yeah, yes, of course. I don't go around telling them things like that, you know. When we're having a chat, we're having a meeting, of course they are beatable. It's telling them that almost seems like I've been thinking they're unbeatable. I'm trying to convince them that something that I've been thinking of otherwise, which I'm not. I just think if we play to our optimum, we will have to do, and we'll have to be good with the ball, and I think better without the ball, because they can move it. They've got good players. Yes, of course, I think any team's beatable.
Cheers, Mick.
Mick, Jeff Hendrick has been a regular for you since you came back, but he hasn't been a regular in the Premier League for Burnley this season. Is that much of a concern for you?
No,
Why so?
because he played in the behind closed doors game. He played in the cup game the other night, and Jeff's one of the most athletic players I've seen. One of the fittest guys I've had around the place. The distances he covered in the games that we had, and he looks great. He'll be fine.
If you do have any tight selection
That's
calls,
assuming I pick him, of course.
yeah. If you do have any tight selection calls, and it comes down to what a player has done for you in the qualification campaign thus far versus the minutes in their legs at the beginning of this season, what would you place more importance in?
Well, experience is certainly key, I think, in these games. And I am loyal to people, certainly to the ones that perform when they turn out and they play. So it's you've got a head start if you've been in the team, that's for sure. You've been playing.
Were you disappointed that James McCarthy didn't link up with the squad, or can you understand where he's coming from?
I can understand where he's coming from. I don't get up and disappointed by it. It's the way it is, you know. Not really, because he wouldn't have played in this game. He wouldn't have played in this game.
Just not physically ready, or?
I don't think he is. No, he wouldn't have played. He wouldn't have played. So whatever way you want to put it, physically ready, of course, that's it. Because mentally he's ready. He's a good footballer. But he's had no. I think he'd had 5 games up until the start of this season in 2 years.
Yeah.
And then he's come back and he's played. He's come on as subs for Palace. I've watched him twice. Been to see him in the 23s. Saw him against Colchester. None of those games will be anywhere near this game that we're playing on Thursday night.
Yeah. My last question is there anything specific that you're hoping to improve on from the previous 2 home games against Georgia and Gibraltar? Like, what kind of things are you stressing to the players? Anything? I'm
trying to emulate both results.
Yeah. And performance-wise, is there anything to improve on?
It's interesting that you asked about the performance. We won the games. You know, I go back whenever there's a time when it's not going well. You want to win the game. So I'd like to think if we had, and we won't have, by the way, as many chances and as many shots and as many crosses we did against Gibraltar, I'd like to think that we'd have scored more goals, of course.
Yeah.
But still in the game, that's the hardest thing to do. But we did have a hell of a lot of attempts in that game. Georgia, I'd take that performance now. Did you think we didn't play well against Georgia?
Oh, I thought it was good.
We just brought that up in our performance against Georgia.
Yeah.
See, I remember what I'm saying. Do you?
Yeah. I was just wondering.
Yeah, Georgia was a great performance. Georgia was excellent, and I'd take that now. I would take that performance. Gibraltar, you know, we won. It was job done. That's all.
Cheers.
Mick, sorry, Mick. The squad arriving here, I suppose they're all coming in different stages at the club. Some clubs are struggling, some are struggling to get game time, while some like the Sheffield United lads must be coming with just sort of bouncing in and bringing that sort of confidence.
Yeah, you know, it's always great when you're playing at your club level, irrespective of where your club's going and your club form's going. This is a real relief. You park all that, even if you're flying, even if you're Sheffield United and you started well, or even if you're a club that's at the bottom of the league, it's a blessing to get away from it and come and see your mates, have 8, 9, 10 days away, enjoy that. It's brilliant, and I've been in both scenarios as a player, and you can forget that for a while. You park it until you go back, so it's great. It's great for the lads.
So you don't need to talk to different players.
Counsel them all differently.
You think it just all right?
No, I have that conversation with them as much as anything. It's not in an official way. It's an ad hoc. I'll go and sit with somebody and have a cup of coffee. You know, how's it been going? Not great, but you know, James McLean was the classic, and he said, "Oh, it's been tough, but you know, I hope the gaffer stays. His coaching's good, and he's positive about that. it's great to be here. You know, I can come and crack on here now, and then we'll go back to that. It's lovely to have. It's worse for the lads who are not away. It's worse for the lads who are back there, and if they're bottom of the league and they're getting drilled every day, that's tough.
And so just to pick up earlier what you said about Shaqiri, you get the impression where that type of player is, I suppose, a manager's nightmare to plan against. How much would you like a player like that you could drop into the team, even as an impact sub? And would that be perhaps a reason why Jack Byrne has kept his place in the squad? Would it be a type of player who you think could do something?
We got Jack Byrne likened to Shaqiri now as well, so that'll be some good headlines. If Jack played in that position, but he doesn't, you know, he doesn't play off the striker. Said before, I went to watch him there the other day, and his passing's very good, but he's not like that. Tell you who did. Alan Judge did in Denmark. Judge was a different class. He changed the game for us. Coming on as a sub, playing in behind Scott Hogan. They found it difficult to pick him up. He won the free kick. He produced the free kick. So he's got something to offer as well.
And has Alan got enough game time this year to really be a force to be?
Judge has, yeah. He's played, yeah. He's played the last 2 games, I think, fully, and coming as a sub, he's okay.
And just to finish, just with points on the board, there's so many different ways of looking at it, but there is a gap, and you'll still be top of the group ahead of this game. But just compare as a manager, do you get any sort of psychological advantage of having that bit of distance between yourself and your counterparts?
No. But if I was 6 points behind, I might have a psychological disadvantage looking at them. But not when you never do, because you always look at everybody else's games and think, well, they can win that, they can win that, they can win that. But when you're behind, when you're 6, 7 points behind, you don't quite have the same thing. You think, we better win that, we need to win that, we need to get points there. There's a different way of looking at it. We've got the points from the games we needed to get and we should have got. Denmark being a real bonus.
Last couple of questions, please.
Hi Mick, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yesterday marked the 18th anniversary since we beat Holland. Just in regards to that victory, was probably one of your biggest in that reign. Will you be looking to use that as extra motivation now this week for the Switzerland game?
I might do now you've told me about it. I got no idea, absolutely no idea that it was 18 years since that it was even remotely close to the time or date or whenever it was. It does tell you how much I think about that. It's gone, that's in the past.
You won't be showing many videos of it or anything, you know?
What of... No, I don't think he's had any bearing on it. I think he does. I think I'd tell you, I'd sooner pick bits out of the game against Georgia and bits out of the game against Denmark and show them that what they're doing, not what somebody else is doing. I'm not really big on that, you know, historically showing them Jason McAteer's goal. And no.
Okay, no worries, thank you.
It's okay.
Okay.
Just in terms of Enda Stevens as well, he's the only kind of natural left back from kind of the defenders listed in the squad. Who's kind of next in line in your thinking?
James McLean, if we have a problem. If I had a problem and Enda, God forbid, got injured in training, I've got Greg Cunningham on standby. But I didn't want to have 2 left backs because if it goes wrong in the game and for some reason he has to go off or God forbid gets sent off, I'd play James there. So he's next in line.